Hey friends, it's Robin. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing another recent reads. I have 10 more books to talk about, so I'm just going to start at the top, work our way down, starting with The Quarterback by Tal Bauer. I read this for my single dad's vlog, so I'm going to keep this kind of short and sweet. If you want some more details on like my reading experience, I will have that vlog linked in all of the places. But this was the sequel to The Jock. I really liked this one. Colton is a sweet, precious being that needs to be protected. He just wanted to be loved, and he went through it in this book. This is definitely one of those books that makes you kind of hate the characters in book one, which I wasn't expecting, and it was cruel to do. But in the end, it all worked out, and I really liked the couple a whole lot. I thought that their relationship and like the growth that they went through was all fantastic. Tal Bauer never misses, so 5 stars to that one. And then I read Being Hospitable by Mika James. This was one of the books that was on my Pride Month TBR. This is a sapphic romance between our heroine and her best friend's younger sister. So she has this apartment and the heroine is starting her first like internship, and she needs a place to stay while she is at this internship. Essentially, she's competing with these 2 other people for a full-time position. And so rather than get her own place, she is staying with the other heroine. And the 2 of them have kind of had this attraction towards each other, but never acted on it because of the like big brother best friend. And now that they're living together, they act on their attraction. And this book was so steamy. It was so good. I loved it a lot. I gave this one like 3.5 stars just because like there's not a lot to it. It really is just these 2 like getting together. And so it didn't give a lot other than like the steamy scenes in it, but it was a really good steamy sapphic romance, which I feel like we don't get enough of. If you were looking for something that falls into that category, I highly recommend this one. And then the one book that I have physically here, I read We Could Be So Good by Kat Sebastian, which as of right now, I think is like my second favorite book of the year. I loved this book. I gave this book 5 stars. I listened to it on audio, and it is everything. I think that Kat Sebastian is so ridiculously underrated in the historical community in general, especially people who read historical romances. One of the things I love so much about Kat Sebastian's historicals is that they tend to take place in some like different time eras. So not all of her books end up being Victorian London, and I feel like you can struggle to find that in the historical romance genre. Feels like everything takes place in Victorian London, and she has some that are far outside of that. This one is actually set in the 1950s, and it takes place in New York City at a time when it was extremely dangerous to be openly gay. And we are following one of our main characters, Nick, who is gay, and he works at this newsroom. And our other hero, Andy, is the son of the owner of that newspaper. And Andy is the hottest of hot messes. Everything he touches turns into a disaster. And on his first day, his tie gets stuck in this like drawer and he can't get it out. And Nick ends up saving him. And the 2 of them strike up this really unlikely friendship. I talked about this, I think it was in one of my previous recent reads, but one of my like new favorite things to find in books is what I'm calling friends being friends. And it is when 2 seemingly platonic friends insist that their romantic actions that they are doing are just platonic, and when they're clearly not. And this had that so much. Like, these 2 are so absolutely close. It is their journey from being unlikely friends to being best friends to being lovers, and it was amazing. I loved it. This is pretty slow, I would say slow paced. There's not a whole ton of driving action in here, but this is one of those books where the characters are the focus, and Kat Sebastian's characters are so ridiculously good. I loved them both so much. I loved their backstories and their family, the whole character exploration, the whole time period that we are reading in. Everything about this was just so good, and I feel like this book is just completely flying under everyone's radar, and it is a crime. I definitely recommend this one. If you are a romance reader, please give this one a read. The audiobook is great. The next three books, I'm going to get these out of the way because I forgot they were on here, but these are the other three books that I read for my single dad's vlog. So first was Cherry Bomb by Carmel Rhodes. I gave this like a 3-star. This was something. Like I said, I talk about this in the vlog, so I'm gonna keep this pretty short. I didn't like how a lot of things were handled in here, particularly the addiction plotline. And our heroine is kind of annoying. She's a very much so the not like other girls. I just didn't love this one. Then I also read To the Moon and Back by N.R. Walker, which was adorable. I gave this one 3.5 stars. It's a very like average book. It's one of those books that pretty much anyone could pick up and enjoy, but I don't think it's a book that people are going to pick up and absolutely love. I feel like it's just one of those books that you can kind of put on in the background. It's really cute. It's very low angst and sweet. It was sometimes a little too sweet and adorable. There's a lot of nicknames and like kind of kitschy things that happen in here, and so it was a little too on the nose with the cutesy stuff, but overall I enjoyed it. And then the last one that I read for that video was the biggest surprise of that video, and that was Charming Your Dad by Sarah Blue. I picked up this book thinking that I was going to DNF this book, and I gave it 4 stars. I really liked it. I liked it a lot. It's definitely not the best written book. It's definitely not the most unique book ever. I feel like there were plenty of things that could have been done better, and I knew where it was going the entire time. It was completely predictable, but I enjoyed the fuck out of this book. I liked it a lot. It is a paranormal ex's dad romance. It was so much fun. This falls into the same type of category as like Bewitched by Laura Thalassa and the Lost Boys series by Nikki St. Crow and The Kingdom of Stars and Shadows, where it's like this isn't anything unique and new, but it's so entertaining. Next was Encore by Eden Finley. This was the last book in the Famous series, and I gave this one 4 stars. I thought this was a really cute ending to the series. This series overall, I was shocked by how much I loved. This follows these 5 guys who were part of a like boy band, and like right at the beginning of book 1 they break up to kind of explore their own solo careers, and this is everything that comes after that. But this one is following the last guy from that group. After his music career, he went into acting, and he is finding that he loves acting so much more than he enjoyed being a music artist. He has been making these like James Bond type of action movies, but he is kind of like the face of this movie series now. And he is looking to expand his acting career, and he is trying to find some sort of serious role. He makes a bet with another actor. I think it's actually in book 3. And when he loses the bet, he has to star in that guy's movie. The reason that he didn't want to star in that movie is because it is actually a gay rom-com, and he didn't feel that as a straight person he could play that role, or that it was fair for him to play that role, I guess, that he should. The two of them end up starring in this movie together. It was just a very interesting kind of discussion about how he got pushed so much into being this one image and this one aspect of himself that he completely ignored the other side of him. And once that was kind of opened up to him, he realized that he was M-spec the entire time and just ignored it because of all of the things that people said to him and what his friends went through and all of that. And I thought it was a very interesting discussion that they had. And this also does have a kind of like fake dating aspect to it. The ending happens and, you know, all of the friends come back together, and it was adorable. I enjoyed the series a lot. The next book that I read was Never Mine by Bryce Oakley, which was a book that I was also reading for Pride Month. I didn't have a whole ton of sapphic books sitting on my Kindle, and so this was one that I had downloaded because I had been looking for some more, and the cover completely caught my attention. And this was okay. I gave this one 3 stars. There was nothing particularly wrong with this book, but it did a lot of things, and I don't think it did any of them exceptionally. So we're following these 2 women who actually knew, like they went to the same high school, and one of them ended up becoming a professional soccer player, women's soccer player, and the other heroine went to Seattle for school. I don't remember what she did in school, but she is now back in their hometown, and she does kind of like the event coordinating for their zoo, and she is a people pleaser, and so she ends up just taking on all of these roles that she doesn't really want to do, but she feels like she's obligated to do. And the two of them end up meeting at their 15-year high school reunion. And the soccer player heroine has recently been injured. She tore her ACL and she is attempting to recover. And she is very bitter about it because she got cut from the national team. Her image is a little rough around the edges, and she is possibly getting a sponsorship from this massive company, but they don't want her to be so rough around the edges. And it's kind of a commentary on how queer people can only be certain things. Like as a straight man, you can be a total mess and no one is going to second guess it. You'll get all the sponsorships in the world. But the fact that she is not only a woman, but queer as well, means that she's not allowed to be anything else. Being queer is already like a knock against her, so she can't be a mess. And so in order to clean up her image, her and this woman end up fake dating, and so she can take this woman to events and things like that and show that she is, in a stable relationship and all of that. And in return, she's going to attend the wedding of the other woman's ex-girlfriend. It did a lot of things. Like I said, there was a lot of different fake dating things, but the fake dating it was prevalent. Like they talked about it a lot, but I felt like you never really got to see a lot of the fake dating. Instead, we got to see a lot of them talking about them fake dating. The wedding part, her friends are absolute shit. Like, I'm sorry, none of them were redeemable in my mind. Her friends sucked. Between those aspects and then our heroine, who is the event manager, kind of trying to learn to say no, and then the other heroine trying to recover from her injury. And I felt like it just didn't have good focus on anything. And the characters weren't enough for me to latch onto and be super invested with. And so I just ended up feeling okay about it. And then the last book that I read was That One Night by Emily Rath. I'm calling you all out. You guys are liars. I was told by multiple people that I needed to read this book in order to read book one. And there's no way that's true. There is no way that that is facts. This book is just a one-night stand. We're following a heroine who's at her brother's wedding, and right at the beginning of the book, she learns that she doesn't get this fellowship. And so she's at the bar drinking away her problems, and some guy hits on her and he won't back off. And so this other guy comes up, gets rid of the guy, and the two of them hit it off. She is in sports medicine, and I think she's trying to go for physical therapy, if I'm remembering correctly, and he is a professional hockey player. And rather than learn each other's names or anything like that, they decide that they are just going to have this one night together, go their separate ways, because they feel this really intense attraction to each other. And that is all this book is. So everyone that told me that this was important for book one, I don't understand how. It is impossible for the plotless one-night stand to have impact on book one. I'm calling bullshit. This was fine. The instant attraction portion was a little much for me. It was a little much. The intensity to which these two talked about their pull towards each other was like, y'all are coming on strong. And the writing left a little bit to be desired. The number of times that the author put all with 5 L's was too many times, okay? If she had done it once, it was too many times, and she did it more than once, which is way too many times. And and whenever authors do something like that, where they over italicize or add a bunch of letters into something, unless you are putting it into quotes as that your character is saying it like that, I'm never okay with it. Okay, never. If you as an author, as the narrator, are putting 5 L's on all, I'm judging you. Okay? Weird. You don't need to do that. No one says all, so we don't need to put it in the book. So it's 3 stars. I still think I'm going to read book one. I'm curious enough, especially since so many people give that book 5 stars. That is it for this round of recent reads. Let me know if you've read any of these, what you thought about them, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.